All breweries used wooden casks at one point in time, so the main purpose of the brand and the painting is for identification purposes. So there's two reasons that we paint the chime. The first one being, as explained, is identification. So if every brewery used these, there was millions of them up and down the country, so every brewery had its own different colour. So there's yellow ones out there, green, blue, doesn't really matter. Thiegsons have used red for their near 200-year history, so this is why we continue to use red. But the more important reason why we paint the chime is because it's the end grain of the staves. So casks are made up of staves, and the chime, which is the part that's red, is the end grain of the staves. So painting it is a good barrier to prevent the end grain from being porous, if it's going to be. But additionally, if the cask can be sat outside, potentially sat in a puddle, the wood could start rotting if it wasn't painted. So just painting it is a good prevention of rotting and leaking. Back in the day, they used to use lead paint for this, so I'll point to the bit in the Ken Kilby book where he writes this. As you can imagine, I've heard that the lead paint was brilliant, but for obvious reasons, we're not allowed to use it anymore. So on to branding. So as I said, every brewery used to use these wooden casks, so every brewery would have had its own brand. This one is stamped up Thiegsons Massum, but like I say, every brewery would have used these. And you just get them red hot on the furnace, and you deeply stamp into the cask who it belongs to, basically. And they're pretty hard to get out. So once they're stamped into the cask, it's locked in that cask belongs to them, unless you change the head, which you can do, to be honest. And Coopers used to do that back in the day. So that's it. So that concludes the chime. The final thing that we do with the chime is paint it, and the final thing we do with the head is brand it. So that's it. The final thing we're going to do to this cask before we fill it is put the keystone in, and then it's ready to have beer in it and sent out up and down the country wherever it's going to go. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. That is why we brand and paint the cask, mainly for identification, but it makes the cask look pretty. See you in the next one. Peace.